New England gardening here. This is that orchid that's making a comeback. And the third leaf is just about the size of the first new leaf that came out, as you can see there. But it's, let me give you some perspective here. Since I've been doing so many close-ups of this, this is the size of it. And it was down to this one leaf here. Actually, there were two. And then when I went to put it, or start doing triage on this thing, on the second large leaf broke off. And I thought this was a goner. And you can see that it has sustained permanent damage there. But this used to be all dehydrated and wrinkled. And evidently the roots on this now can support that large leaf and it's bringing in enough moisture to keep it hydrated. But it's actually below the cup lip. So this small leaf here is pushing up against the cup. It's got no place to go. So I was thinking of transferring this to a new home. Now what's that saying? Killing something with kindness? I'm really hesitant to even touch this because I don't want to mess this up. But, you know, I could leave it in this cup. It's just got the moss. Or put it into a larger pot. Give you a reference here. With the orchid bark. And I was really debating on what to do here. I think I'm going to put it in the larger container. And this will probably be its home for a good 5 years. I won't have to touch it if I do this right. And I'll still put it in a high humidity environment. I'll put it in with my fig cuttings. Put it in a bin. But I was looking, I've always been just photographing or videotaping it from the top. And I finally noticed, you can see a root here. It's really grown. See if we can see that. Without the reflection, see that? So there's a root right there. And I don't know, it's good, maybe a couple of inches. But I'm going to take this out of the pot. See what's going on below the moss here. It's so light and airy, I don't know, kind of hesitant to put it in a bark mixture, but what I did is I ran water in a bucket with the bark and let it soak overnight, and then I made a couple of water changes, so I got all the fine particles out of the mix. So hopefully there'll be a lot of air pockets, and it'll be in a high humidity environment, and it'll like it. And I won't have to repot it for another 5 years or touch it. So let's take a look at what this what's going on here. And I wanted to change this moss anyways because I think I've been noticing in the videos I've been taking a lot of critters starting to, I don't know if there's spider mites in here. Should probably run this through some cold water too, but be really careful with this. Oh wow, that's a nice root. It's a nice root there. So evidently, you know, these orchids don't have a problem just being in this moss. Now you can see, wow, I'd like to snip that off there, but I don't want to even touch that. You can see how it was just rotted. All this was just dead. And I just had like enough of, I don't know, the nucleus of this orchid to get, you know, a new leaf and the new roots to form. But look at, see, that's what I had left. So I'm tempted to cut that off, the dead stuff right here, but I'm not going to touch that. So that's what I was down to, the one leaf, and I had it in a container with some moss just sitting on top. I initially saw people would fasten these to a stick and just have them on a stick in a high humidity environment, and that was a way to bring back an orchid, but I just had it sitting on top of moss, and then eventually it dawned on me, since I was had the figs starting in the bins, to place this and some moss in the bin. So here's the chunky orchid bark with good sizes of perlite in it. And like I said, I rinsed it several times. Got as much of the fine particle and dust off of this as possible, let it soak. And I'm going to put it into, I guess maybe that's like a 6-inch pot. I also took some sphagnum moss, put it in a bag, and sprayed it with a water bottle, let it sit overnight so it's nice and evenly damp. And I'll layer some of this in the mix too, and then have a layer on top. I think I'm going to rinse this under the faucet for a little bit, see if I can get any, wash off any critters, if it helps. Okay, so this is just hanging there, and it's just going to add rotting material to the mix, so I'm going to hopefully gingerly just snip that off a little bit. And take that out of the mix. Don't want that adding any, helping add any disease. So that's it. You know, it's hanging in there. And I'll just have this sitting in, you know, very delicately, almost just sitting on the top here. If I can work this bark in. I think the leaf just hanging on the edge like that, well, so that's good support right there to just let me get some bark in around here. Well, that's a big piece of bark. So maybe, I don't know, maybe next year I'll have a flower spike. Seems to be almost like you plant citrus. You want that crown sitting somewhat on the top, with some of the roots exposed. Nice airy mix. So it's humid but not completely or always soaked. I think I was reading that it's a good idea to have some airflow. Put a little fan on low near your orchids. Get some airflow going, because they're going to be you know, maybe up in a tree. Some of the species, not all. And they'll be getting those breezes up in the trees. You don't want stagnant air. So hopefully, you know, this will be here for 5 years. I won't even have to, unless this material breaks down within 5 years. I don't really see that happening. So, it looks good. It looks good like that. I don't know if I left space for any of the moss. Maybe I'll take some of these chunks out. I'll put some of this moss around here. This batch has a lot of twigs in it. A lot of stems. So that's it. Hopefully this is going to give this a nice airy, humid environment to grow further. I hope I'm not jumping the gun here by getting it into too large of a pot, but it's almost just sitting in the mix, so it's not just, it's almost like it was before. You've got the root exposed there. So with enough light, I'll be able to videotape further progress on this and hopefully get to a flower spike stage. So this is New England gardening. This is the orchid making a comeback. Another milestone, new home. Thanks for watching.